Hello, nerds for humanity. I'm here today to go over the Corona stimulus bills, both the $2 trillion one that we did already, and then the $3 trillion one that the House Democrats are proposing. And let's see where the money went, and then let's do some math and figure out what the alternative would have been had the Congress and president been supportive of a universal basic income instead. So let's start with the $2 trillion plan. This has already been spent. This is gone now. This money's done. And as you can see, out of that $2 trillion for the CARES Act, about 30%, so 30 cents on the dollar, went to individuals through cash payments, unemployment, and student loans. And then 500 billion, almost the same amount that went to individuals, went to large corporations. And specifically, if you see here, you'll see most of the money went to corporations, but then within that, 58 billion went specifically to the airline industry. Some for wages and benefits of passengers. Mostly looks like something called required for national security, $26 billion directly to the airlines, and then $3 billion for contractors and wages and benefits of cargo. So I'm guessing the airline industry has some strong lobbyists in DC. And less money went to small businesses, still a meaningful number, $377 billion in the form of loans, $10 billion in the form of grants. You wonder what's going to happen to those loans. Like, will the government really ask for that money back? And the other question is, like, how did we decide, like, which small businesses should get it? What were the criteria? And was that like a really efficient and fair methodology? And then you've got almost $340 billion that went to state and local governments. I mean, certainly for COVID response, I'm not sure how that is defined, but it sounds reasonable. $14 billion for higher ed, $13 billion for K through 12 schools, family programs, block grants. Like, these are the types of things where you wonder, like, is that really a better use of funds than just giving money directly to the people? And then only 9% went to public services, and only about 5% went to hospitals. So hospitals, interestingly enough, given that this is a COVID-19 bill, and one of our concerns is the ability to provide care, especially ICU care for the first and potentially subsequent waves, out of that $2 trillion, only $100 billion went to hospitals, and only $16 billion went to stockpiled equipment, and then you have a bunch of other money to child nutrition, food banks, etc. So TLDR for this $2 trillion bill, it was spread around. Most of it didn't go to the people. Almost as much went to large corporations as to the people. A little bit less went to small businesses in the form of loans, where the SBA, I suppose, determined who got them. And then a decent amount went to state and local governments, and then public services. Now, the thing is, like, if you're in America right now, do you really feel like that $2 trillion? Did you feel it? I don't think a lot of people felt it. And that's what is disturbing, because that was a shit ton of money. Okay, so here's the actual CARES bill. And the thing that's kind of most interesting is, first of all, it's a big federal bill, so it's pretty detailed and in-depth. I think the second thing is, look at how we're picking winners and losers. As an example, you've got all of these rules for individuals, like, oh, well, what deadlines apply? Do you have to apply? How does this work with retirement funds? Are you allowed to use certain charitable contributions? Blah, 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 blah. All this rigmarole. And then for the small business stuff, you've got like this whole section 1103 on entrepreneurial development. Let's see. Okay. Small business development centers. The administration shall award 80% of funds authorized to small business development centers, women's business centers. And why? Why not just give the money directly to the people? We don't need these centers determining who should get the money. Let the market decide. Let's see, what are the goals and metrics for this CARES Act around entrepreneurship? Should be jointly developed, negotiated, agreed upon with the full participation. It's like, okay, that sounds like a lot of nothing. Take into consideration, follow, like they actually, the bill has no, as far as I'm reading it, there's no goals and metrics for entrepreneurial support. A bunch of talk. Let's go down further. Again, for this Resource Partner Association grants, also no goals, just that they should be jointly developed, negotiated, agreed upon with full participation of both parties. You know, it's a lot of words and probably just money sloshing around. And it's sad. It's sad that we spent all this money and it's unclear what the benefits were. Look at all these rules here. This is, when you see all of these rules, and you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars just for the Small Business Administration. Look at this. $300 million appropriation just for Small Business Administration salaries and expenses. I guess that's great if you work in the Small Business Administration, but what if you're an actual small business? Then there's the Minority Business Development Agency. And then there's the Education, Training, and Grants. You know, it's all kind of government's going to save you, and I'm not very impressed with the capabilities of DC right now. So anyway, that's just a little taste of the craziness of the CARE Act. Let's see if there's anything about the airlines. Hold on one second. Okay, here is basically a section on severely distressed sectors of the economy, economic stabilization, reports. So all this money that goes to these airlines, what are those airlines going to do? Well, apparently, not later than 9 months after this act and annually, while the loans are in effect, the comptroller shall submit to the committee on blah, 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 what? A report on loan and loan guarantees. Is there like a minimum payback period for these loans? Financial protection of the government. To the extent practicable, the secretary shall ensure the federal government is compensated for the risk. Well, basically, this secretary has a big pile of money, and he's going to dole that money out, including $100 million of the funds just for the costs and administrative expenses with the provision of the loans. Are you serious? $100 million just for the federal administrative expenses to provide the loans? Golly. All right, so as you can see, that's the CARE Act. There's our $2 trillion. Most of it, I would imagine, is like a big pile of cash that we lit on fire. But it doesn't end there, folks. Now we have the House Democrats getting in on this act saying, hey, let's not do $2 trillion, let's do $3 trillion. Instead of the CARES Act, it's going to be called the HEROES Act. And what will it include? Well, it'll include $1,200 per family member. That's a one-time payment. So once you get that, if you get it, it'll be gone. There'll be unemployment benefits through Jan 2021. So basically for another 6 months. Hazard pay for first responders, more money for testing, and then rent and mortgage assistance. I don't know how that adds up to 3 trillion though. They don't really break out the math. But guess what, guys? I have the bill here. Let's look at the bill. Let's be one of the few people out there. I mean, this is not the Nerds for Humanity channel for nothing. So here it is. This is the HEROES Act, the Health and Economic Recovery Omnibus Emergency Solutions Act. And let's see, you've got revenue, health provisions, retirement provisions, assistance to agricultural producers. See, look at this. Like, I'm guessing the dairy and livestock lobbyists, and specialty crops, like we're basically, again, picking winners and losers. Like if everybody got $1,000 a month in basic income, whether you're a farmer or a waiter or a truck driver, then you don't need any of this. We don't need to. We let the people decide what they want to do. Okay, right off the bat, you got $3 billion in child nutrition programs, $1 billion for women, infant, and children program, $10 billion for SNAP. All of these programs have rules and regulations and often result in very strange, perverse incentives. And honestly, I'd rather give these people money. Having them only be able to get a certain kind of food and a certain time, it's just too much of mother hen from the government. Here you have surveys and programs. What in the Sam Hill? So it's a bunch of money for the census. Wow, 400 million. Periodic census programs. Jesus. Why do we need to do... Why is doing a census right now the most urgent thing? Then you've got 100 million to the fishermen. Why the fishermen and not some other group? No idea. But we're basically saying you get money and you get money, maybe not you under these conditions. I think the HEROES Act, as I'm, scanning through this, I mean, look at this. Like, then there's a program, violence against women. Like, are we going to think of every problem in America and have a program for it and give $100 million? Or do we want to get to the root cause and give people an economic floor? Which I guess takes me to the math here. There's 200 million adults in America. You could actually give each of them $1,000 a month, and that would end up costing $200 billion a month, which sounds like a big number. Here's an even bigger one, $2.4 trillion a year. But guess what? We already spent $2 trillion over, and that's on the CARES Act. And on the HEROES Act, it's going to be $3 trillion. So in total, if you took that $5 trillion, you could actually give every adult in the United States, every adult citizen, $1,000 a month for 2 years. That would take us all the way through the summer of 2021 and the summer of 2022. So probably, till the fall of 2022. Instead, you get this. Every congressman put their favorite little program in here. God knows where this money is going to go. I don't even want to think about how much money the federal bureaucracies are going to get for their salaries and administrative expenses. But everybody working for the federal government might be better off getting a basic income too. And you get more of this, which is the original one. Look at this. We already spent the $2 trillion. I can't think what we can show for it. Everybody who got a check, I'm sure they appreciated it. It came, it went, and there's nothing more. And now we've got another $3 trillion program. People are going to get a check. If they're unemployed, they'll get a check till the end of the year. But we could have done this, given 24 months of $1,000 a month for every American citizen that's 18 or older. Or we can just get yet another DC special stimulus barrel of waste. So $5 trillion from both McConnell and Pelosi and Trump down the drain. I'm sure there'll be some benefits. Is it going to be $5 trillion worth? No. But if you gave every citizen $1,000 a month for 2 years, I think we'd all feel that. Now, if you're new to this channel and you found this kind of conversation and analysis interesting, please subscribe. And if you like this content, please like and share it. In the comments below, let me know if there's other kind of data-driven questions you'd like to get answered. And let me also give special thanks to the people who make this channel possible, our members. First of all, our executive vice president is Kristen Slevin. And next, our vice presidents are Chris Chan, Laura Lane, Fat Lamb, JM Sapp, V Lamb, Lockwin. And for our hardcore nerds, we've got Phoenix Congress, who just became a member a few days ago. Welcome, Phoenix, to the Nerds for Humanity Nation. Koa Win, Landline, DK, Tracy Mesa, David, Adrian, Gene, Chad, and Mike. And lastly, we have our verified nerds. Soldier, David, Emerald, Mercy Ann, Miles, Verily, Doris, Shake and Make, Mike, Sophia, Jadwiga, Gail, James, Hitachi, Your Mommin, Peter, Orez, Albert, Brandon, Yes, Sugar, Brian, Lisa, Sydney. Sydney's our first member. Still there. Thanks for sticking with us, Sydney, even though you were the first one to join. So with that, hopefully this was useful. Goodbye, nerds.